Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Survive or Sink. This is a show where we get to talk about financial related problems of businesses. I am Didia Harmony Ezine and I am going to be your host for today.
Building any FinTech app and you don't have the system in place, your FinTech will die in less than 1 year.
With me here is Mr. Precious Leo, our guest for today. So, Mr. Precious, could you please tell us a little about yourself?
It's very simple. My name is Precious Leo and I'm currently the Chief Operations at Puplar.
Good to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Precious here would be taking us on the topic why fintech companies dies in 5 years. I'll be taking you through questions that will be answered by our guest here. So sit, relax, and enjoy the session. Thank you. So, Mr. Precious, for people who may not fully understand it, what exactly is fintech in simple terms? Just for the sake of people that do not know what fintech is all about, what can you say in a layman's understanding?
Well, FinTech, for someone that is not tech inclined to understand, it's any mobile application that permits or allow users conduct online transactions. So basically, any mobile app that permits you to conduct any sort of transactions.
So
online.
we can say that fintech apps are different from commercial banks, like regular commercial banks that we know.
I can't really say they are different from the regular commercial banks because most of the commercial banks we have today are now tech inclined, or should I say tech friendly, right? You have the likes of Providus, you have the likes of Rema Bank, and the likes of that. It's quite different from what we know to be commercial banks as of 15 years ago, right? Previously, before now, you have to always go to the bank to conduct huge amount of transactions, do onboarding, your KYC, where you have to walk in with your, your card, your NIN, your passport, and all of those things.
Forms to fill and everything.
With all of with a lot of forms for you to fill. But now it's quite different. You can see what OP is doing at Money Point. You didn't have to go to anywhere. Just from the comfort of your house, same thing to Kuda. In the comfort of your home, you can move money cross borders, and
So we can say that fintech apps makes transactions, online transactions, very fast, easy, and
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Why has fintech grown so fast in Africa, especially Nigeria, compared to other African regions?
Okay. In terms of growth, Nigeria has a very huge market. Yeah. Although there are a lot of limitations, but still, Nigeria has a very big market. Outside the fintech industry, you have other products, brands, companies coming into Nigeria across the world, right? So you have companies from Kenya, South Africa, even from the United States, UK. You see them coming to do their businesses here. That's because we have the market for it, right? And just like we know, Nigeria is still untapped in terms of technologies. Yeah. So when we have fintechs, should I just say we have a lot of fintech or a lot of mobile apps performing online transactions, right? But at the same time, they are still limited. Yeah, they are still limited. So we believe, because we are using them here in Nigeria, but then they are limited, in terms of them crossing the borders, right? But then Nigeria just have the market for this whole thing, right? From our economy down to the users itself, right? To have a lot of people that are ready to test your application, even if they don't know what it's all about, right?
Are there problems associated with fintech in Nigeria? And if there are, what are those possible problems?
There is a lot of problems associated to any fintech application. Yeah, as long as you want to perform online transaction, real transaction, not test transaction, real transaction that someone will come to your application, put his money in there, and perform something that you are going to charge him for or charge her for, right? There are a lot of things that you need to know. So fintech, it's very, very big, and it's not just about the coding. It's not just about building the application. So there are a lot of things you need to consider before you go into any form of financial service, from loan application to remittance applications to there's so many of them, right? So you have to consider a lot of things, because you need to pay close attention to what the government, what the law says concerning what you're about to do.
So what are those things that should be put into consideration when you want to
Compliance. Compliance is very important.
Okay.
Yeah, regulations. You need to have your team grounded. Okay. So most fintech founders only invest in
coding.
Not just coding, like the technical aspect of it. Okay. So when I mean technical, I'm talking about the UI, UX developer, product manager, front end, back end guys, and stuff like that. So it's that alone is just their technical team.
So they fail to put their attention to other things.
Yeah. They just feel, if I have an application that Mr. A and B can come and perform this transaction, then I'm good to go. You see, they start running ads and the likes of that, but it's deeper than that. No one is saying you can't start doing that, right? But you need to also consider other sections of financial services.
Maybe that's why they get to flop, because they don't put other important things into consideration.
Basically, that is just the reason, because whether you like it or not, if you're building any fintech app and you don't have the things in place, your fintech will die in less than 1 year. Okay. Whether you like it or not, your fintech will die in less than 1 year. So you have to consider these things, have them checked in place before shipping any product to the market. Your legal team have to be, very grounded. Your compliance team have to be there. Customer service team has to be there, right? And in terms of also managing all of these things, that's where you now need something like, just say HR, where you manage your staff and all of these things. And most people forget that it's not just, putting online or mobile app out there. It's a business. And for the fact it's a business, it has to be incorporated, right? You have to register this business. You need to form board of directors. You need to know all those things. So it's not just having a mobile application that performs transaction. Okay. Else you are going to fail big time. Even if you have those tractions that you want, it's just a matter of time for you to start seeing the reality of Nigeria.
Yeah. Wow. That's nice. Thank you so much for such an insightful explanation. So, what are the biggest mistakes you see African fintech startups making today? What are those mistakes they make?
I'm just going to list two.
Okay.
The biggest mistake I think most fintech founders make is diving into the market so quick.
They don't take their time.
They don't take their time.
Oh.
So once it's working, they feel it's working, let's ship it out. Right. Yeah. I had years back, I have some group of friends then, and they are engineers anyways, and they believe, or some of them believe in, for the fact that this thing is working, there's no error, there's no issues with the application,
Yeah.
it's good to go. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. There are a lot of things you will need to check, from security to two-factor authentications to even know if your users are safe using these applications.
Yeah.
Right? So these are the things you need to know. So I think one of the reasons why fintechs are failing, or one of the mistakes they make, is going into the market too early. You have to test for a very long time, right? It's not a problem if you test with a very, should I say, a close group of persons, up to 1,000 persons or 500, yeah, before pushing it out there, right? When we made our first application, which is the Akabo mobile app, we tested for a very long time, and we had real customers coming to test applications. We had friends, family even using our product, but we made them understand that this is the better version of this application. We are still testing, so whatever you see, we guarantee you that your funds are safe. That's, you know,
very important. Don't joke in Nigeria.
So you don't just say, okay, we are still testing, and come and test with your money. No, you understand?
Yeah.
So their money have to be safe, their data have to be safe, but at the same time, we let them know that we are testing, right?
Yeah.
Before you now go nationwide, or should I say, make the application open to the entire public.
So we can say one of the mistakes they make is not taking their time to test for a longer time.
Yeah.
They just rush to push it out there.
Yeah. Another mistake they also make is regulations.
What are those regulations?
There are a lot of regulations depending on the kind of fintech or the solution you're providing.
Okay.
For example, if you're into international money remittance, it's different, or your license is different from someone that is doing, should I say, providing loan services. I don't know if there's any license for that, but I believe there is a certification or a body regulating that section, right? When we were trying to get our own fintech at Puplar, our own license rather at Puplar,
Okay.
we realized that there were several kind of licenses, and all extremely expensive, right? So we needed to be careful about our decision. We needed to understand which of this license do we need based on our service, and that alone is not something that you have to make that decision on your own. You need legal guidance, you need advices from those people in that regulation,
Okay.
right? The regulators themselves, you need advices from them, right? So they need to explain, this is why you need this is why you don't need this. Okay, you don't need this for now, maybe you can grow into this, and the likes of that. Today we in our space, we've come to see some persons that have gone to get what's it called, microfinance license, and they don't need it. Do they operate as a microfinance bank? No. But they have the license, and they spent a lot of money getting that license. But at the same time, they don't need it. They don't even have a physical, presence. Maybe they just have like one. But I believe for the tier 2 license of a microfinance bank, you need to have one physical location across the states, all the states in Nigeria. For the tier 2, I think so. I may be wrong, but I think you need to have more than one office.
Okay.
Right? So these are the things that some people don't really know how to go about this thing. They just pursue for the license, and based on how blessed our government is, some persons, use money to get their way into it and get themselves that license. And at the same time, they just feel like, okay, I'm doing something else, something different from what my license is covering for. And, end up regretting it or paying higher to not get something else. So they need to understand the regulation and the regulators for that services they are offering.
Okay, that's
and it differs for jurisdictions as well. So the license you need here in Nigeria is not the same license you will need in the US.
So, Mr. Precious, when you were explaining, you made mention of Puplar. I know I've heard about Puplar, but I don't really know what they do. So, please, for the sake of myself and for the people that do not know what Puplar does, what do they do? Is it a FinTech app or something? Just want to know.
So Puplar is just a financial service application.
Okay, so it's a FinTech app.
It's a FinTech, yeah.
Okay.
But basically into crypto services, international money remittance, and virtual card services. So
Okay.
basically that's our core three services. So if you want to receive money from someone outside Nigeria, in the US, in UK, Germany, and the likes of that, we can allow you perform such transaction after conducting proper KYC and documentation from the customers and stuff like that.
So you can see Puplar is very safe and reliable.
Sure, yeah. It's safe, reliable, secure, fast to use, and what should I use? But it's safe.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you so much. At least I've learned about Puplar today. Thank you. So do you think too many fintechs are building the same type of product here in Nigeria?
Definitely.
They are.
If you go to some event programs, startups program, Mr. Uchi, the Startup South founder or convener, right? So most times he tries to bring startups founders from different industries and stuff like that, and he's doing a great job, by the way. But we have other events in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and the likes of that. When you attend such events, when you attend such meetups, you get to understand that you have about 10 products doing the same thing.
Oh wow.
Doing the same thing, yeah. This guy's into crypto, this guy's into crypto, this guy's into crypto. Everybody is into crypto, right? But at the same time, how many persons are actually solving the problem?
The problem, yes.
So if you say you're into crypto services,
What problem are you
what
solving?
problem are you solving?
Okay.
Right? Because there are a lot of things going on right now in the society, from theft to money laundering down to all of this. So it's not just something you just jump into because you feel. Some persons still have the idea, or some founders still have the idea that crypto is not regulated, and it's wrong. So persons still have the idea that they can move any amount of money via crypto. Now, the fact is, yes, you can move unlimited funds via crypto, but not with the current applications that you have, or with some of the applications you have.
Because of the restrictions or something?
Yeah, because of the restrictions.
Okay.
Now, most of these applications we have are basically exchange applications. What that means is you put in your local currency or your fiat currency to buy a cryptocurrency and the likes of that, right?
Yeah.
And it's sometimes bad when you get to check some of these crypto applications and you realize that they don't even perform enough KYC to track where that money is coming from and how the money is leaving. Because they have the idea, oh, it's crypto, we should not, once the money goes into crypto and blah blah blah, it's gone. But it's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. For the fact you're doing crypto is regulated. The Security Exchange Commission here in Nigeria, although they are still putting up some should I say licenses to regulate this whole crypto thing, but currently there is a level of regulation we have here in Nigeria, in Nigeria today. So the more still coming up, so it does not still give you the right, does not give you the privilege just to do anyhow or perform any sort of transaction. We had a customer as of last year that said he was going to take us to court because he could not buy a certain amount of crypto that he wanted to buy. That was crazy.
That's from Puplar?
Yes, that's from Puplar.
Oh, wow. So how did you guys handle the case?
I think our compliance just had to know how to resolve it, and we fed him back to our terms and conditions because that reminds me, terms and conditions matter for fintech application.
Okay.
Because for your customer to start transacting, and putting their money into your application, they need to read and understand that this is how we operate. This is our policy here.
That governs the
the entire
in case
thing.
anything happens,
Good.
you send them. Okay,
So
that's
you
nice.
don't just come to the app and say, for example, I'm putting in 10 million naira and I want crypto of 10 million naira. But we don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Not until you give us the required documentation that we want.
Okay.
So you must ensure that you have those required documentation. If our compliance team are not okay with it, then such transaction will not be approved.
Well, that's nice.
There are
I feel it
limited
makes it
amounts.
more secure than.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So there are limited amounts to all of these things. If you're coming to buy crypto of what 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira, 1 million naira, then your regular KYC of tier 1 can permit you to do that. But once you are performing high risk transaction, then you have to provide all the necessary documents to back where the money is coming in from and where the money is going to.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much, sir.
The issues where bank froze our accounts, our business accounts,
really?
and users' funds were in there. It took us time. We had to
I'm
settle our
very
costs.
sure they would have dragged you people. So how did you guys solve that?
Well, it falls back to how much capital we have.
Okay.
So we had to sort out the customers first, then fall back to the
But they
bank
would drag you.
to get the money sorted out and the likes of that. So regulation is very important. In fact, if you're not regulated and you're playing with Naira, when I mean you're playing with Naira, in your application, you are transacting with Naira, which is the Nigerian currency. You need to go find out the license that's governing your services.
Okay.
Else, if there's any issue that is dragging you to court, you're already falling victim for something that you don't even have. So you need to get this license checked. If you don't have them, then you have to be in the process of getting them with some documents to show.
To avoid stories that touches that.
Exactly.
All right, we'll move on to can one government policy really destroy a fintech business? Just one government
Yes,
policy.
and that's happened in Nigeria.
Oh, really?
Yes. I can't remember the year, but I think that was like 2023 or no, that should be like 2021, 2020, thereabout, when there was restrictions to the dollar card or to the Master and Visa cards in Nigeria. As of that time, you can't make payment online over $20. Your monthly limit for making online payment with your MasterCard was just $20. So imagine if you want to pay for developers, let's say you want to pay for domain, you want to pay for hosting, that will cost you like $50. How do you go about it? You can't pay with your MasterCard. That was one regulation that was, that just brought down that whole thing.
That's serious.
So you can't pay for that thing. So people will now leveraging on dollar cards.
Okay.
Right? So they have basically, but that's Puplar. That's one of our services currently do, where we give you virtual dollar cards where you can make online payments, up to $1,000, $10,000, and less of that. We even had students at that time. They were trying to pay tuition fees, accommodation fees abroad, and they can't use their Nigerian cards, their Visa, MasterCards. But currently that ban has been lifted, so people are now being able to make that payment. But still, some persons still prefer the dollar cards.
Why?
Because they feel, or not that they feel, most times dollar card have more way of making that payment for you without being restricted. Some platforms don't still accept your normal MasterCard for payment. So it's some platforms, why some platforms too. So that was just one regulation. There was a time when the whole saga with what's the name again? Binance. Yeah, Binance and the Nigerian government. So I think it was the CEO or one of their staff was arrested here in Nigeria and was held custody, or was kept in custody, here in Nigeria. And based on how Binance then, they were like controlling the Nigerian market, the Nigerian dollar market. They were controlling it. If Binance moved their dollar rate to let's say 2,000, The next day, dollar is at 2,000. So they had to be regulated. And since then, things have normalized a bit. And I thank God that the government had to step in to regulate things a bit. Regulations
it's very important.
it's very important. And you need to dance according to the market. So according to the regulation, if Nigerian government is saying we're implementing this today as a founder or a fintech pioneer or what,
how dangerous is it for fintechs to rely mainly on investor funding instead of real profits?
it's not advisable.
It's not advisable.
And no investor should do that.
Why is it not advisable, sir?
Because it's fintech, right? It's an online business or service. So if I want to invest today in any fintech application and you tell me, okay, I have an MVP, that means you have something workable, and I get to see it, I like it, and I ask questions like, what have you done, what have you put in place, and all you can provide is just a code. Now, I'm not just, if I'm still interested in that product, I'm not just investing. It's basically saying, I want to buy whatever you have and set it up properly and I'll put it out there. But if I want to invest in whatever you've done, partner with you, have a shares or the likes of that, then I should see some setting or some kind of result already. That means you should have tested. You should have gotten feedbacks. Should have fixed in the whole, issues, errors, and the likes of that. Right? So that's why I said earlier on that you should test. Not just to dump, enter the market and say,
to be sure that everything is okay.
You should test.
Nigerians don't want to hear stories about their money.
No. We had issues of some fintechs where users were able to move funds above what they have in their available balance. It happens. It's something that is about to happen. Even our big techs today or our big fintechs today have experienced, cyber crimes and attacks and stuff like that. So it happens. The issue is when it happens, you should be able to control it.
So there are ways to help with the whole cyber security and all of that. So
cyber security is something you have to consider. Else,
very important.
Even the junior hackers will just use the application to have fun.
All right, that's nice. Thank you very much. How much does regulation affect fintech survival in Africa?
A whole lot. And I think it's something that the federal government have to look into. Here in Nigeria, we have one of our regulators as a CBN. CBN is basically controlling CBN and NIBS. They control the licenses they issue out to fintechs and stuff like that. The NIBS does not control any license. NIBS control the transactions. But CBN controls the regulations. And the licenses. So, to me, getting a fintech license here in Nigeria is not easy. You have to put calls. In fact, when we were trying to get ours, we made some calls to CBN and they said, this thing is not out, that they stopped issuing this license.
Why is it taking so long?
No, even the first response was, we are not issuing this license. So this moment, So I was like, okay, but the bank is requesting for us to get this, for us to perform or carry out our transactions.
Yeah, exactly.
Understand? So we have to put extra calls. In fact, walking to CBN, put down some connections before we can get a listening ear and not know what indeed is happening in there.
So now, who you know, like
who you know, something like that. You understand? So you have to be the connections too.
Okay.
You have to be the connections. Whatsoever, you need to know how to navigate around it or how to capitalize on it and ensure that you're not sinking.
Yeah.
Else, my dear, you will sink, and you will sink badly. So deep.
Okay, how big of a problem is fraud and trust in African fintech?
We just recently had one. I don't want to mention names. So, if in fact the EFCC, the new EFCC chairman, and should I say zonal coordinators and state coordinators, they've been doing wonderful. You know, they've tried to reduce fraudulent activities in Nigeria. As of like 10 years ago, 5 years ago,
It was massive.
nobody wanted to transact with anybody in Nigeria.
Of the fear.
Of the fear, it was that bad. Even to today, there are some places you travel to, my dear, once you go with that green passport or that green card, it's already
A red flag.
a red flag for you. You understand? If you're not going with a good reasoning, your visa can be declined or maybe declined.
Yeah.
So it's causing a very it's damaging the image of the country already. So the EFCC are still doing their best to read out those criminals in the industry doing those things. There was one massive one recently that a Nigerian prince claiming to be a Dubai prince scammed over or around I think 3 point something billion naira. Yeah, and that's a lot. That's massive. That's a lot. So that's bad for us. Although I'm not saying that Nigeria is like the worst thing.
Yeah.
We have other countries doing worst. You understand? But I thank God that right now the EFCC and other authorities
They're
are
helping to
helping to look into all those things and fish out the bad ones. But at the same time, I want to also plead that they carry out more investigation, because some innocent tech guys are also suffering from it. I've had colleagues in Abuja that he was arrested on his way going to get fuel at night, and in fact they didn't give him a chance to say anything.
That's bad.
They took his phone, tagged him a Yahoo boy, and in fact that guy almost went to jail. He was almost in jail. It was almost in jail. I've also had persons that have gone to jail.
This is bad.
So they have to investigate in all of these things before sentencing anyone or persecuting anyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Precious. So, conclusion, Mr. Precious, what's your advice to other fintech founders?
They say experience is the best teacher.
Okay. Yeah, true.
So, regardless of any sort of advice I have, experience is still going to give you the best advice in this life. But then, one of my advice is FinTech is not just a mobile application. It's a business, and for the fact it's a business, you have to treat it as a business. You have to understand the advantage, the pros and cons of the business you're going into. You need to understand the services you're covering, and then know where your target market lies and go for them.
Okay.
Among other things, understand what you're building in and out. Understand the regulations in your your industry. If you are targeting other countries, understand how your services work and operate in other jurisdictions and countries and continents, whatever. So understand all of these things before you bring out any application for the entire market to use.
All right, guys, we've come to the end of today's session. It was such an interesting one. Thank you so much, Mr. Precious, for being here. Thank you so much for explaining all that we needed to know. God bless you, sir. We will be bringing out more of those contents. Do well to follow our channel and check back same time next week. You can also send in your questions, and we are going to be here to attend to all your questions. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye, guys.